Alright guys, this video is based on my opinion on Phil Heath and him compared to some of the greatest bodybuilders in the 90s, namely Flex Wheeler, Kevin Levrone, Shawn Ray, which he has often been compared to because similar body types. After analyzing everything, because I have every bodybuilding DVD you can think of, all the Mr. Olympias through the 90s and into the 2000s, and then training videos as well. As much as I favor and love the 90s era, because that's when I came up, I looked to those guys, namely Flex Wheeler is my favorite bodybuilder. I'm going to tell you why Phil Heath is just better than those guys. No matter whatever version you want to pick of those guys in the 90s, I still don't think they can even compare to Phil's best, which, you know, arguably 2009, 2011, 2013. Phil's had a lot of really good looks. But first of all, Shawn Ray, perfectly balanced, really consistent with his conditioning out of those other two, Kevin and Flex. Shawn was the most consistent with conditioning. However, Shawn still lacked that crazy dry, hollowed out, just granular lower body. Even though he had some ribbons on his quads and they were separated and the hamstrings were kind of dug out, they still, I don't want to say they're watery, but they still were not that grainy, dry, rock hard look that Phil has. It looks like sandpaper. Okay? Shawn kind of like, even how Lee Priest had dug out hamstrings, they still weren't quite, that skin wasn't there. Other than that, Shawn was great, and of course he had less mass. Phil was bigger, Phil was drier overall. Phil has Shawn. Comparing Phil to Kevin, I love Kevin Levrone. There's a lot of good versions of him, but there's a lot of not so good versions of him. His consistency is not good. Obviously legs and back, Phil destroys, right? But I love Kevin's arms and shoulders and his poses. Kevin Levrone is awesome, but Phil, he smokes them. Truth. Flex Wheeler, my favorite bodybuilder, coolest looking bodybuilder. If you ever want to look like someone walking around in public, I think Flex Wheeler is a coolest physique. However, Flex's conditioning up and down, but even Flex's best, arguably 93 or 98 or 99, when he had more size, the hamstrings and glutes, it's not even on the same tier, the same level. Phil smokes them. And Phil's just as round, if not rounder than Flex. And not only is he round, but his muscle bellies are more clear and dense, or sorry, more clear and striated. There's more definition. Maybe that was inflammation from whatever Flex was putting into the muscles or whatever. So not only does he have as full or fuller muscle bellies, he is bigger than Flex, and he's way more dug out and dry. But I love Flex Wheeler. The only knock that I've always had on Phil, and I'm a huge, for me, having the perfect centerpiece to your physique is the abdominal wall. And I'm not talking about Phil Heath and his distension recently or whatever. I'm talking about even in his beginning days, just the genetic shape of his abdomen being genetically maybe a 4-pack or a linea alba down the middle. That was always an eyesore to me. Ronnie Coleman, the same thing. Some people have it. Orville Burke. Phil Heath just has what he has. That's what he's given. But everything else offsets that, right? But I always liked Flex Wheeler because he had a beautiful like 8-pack, really small symmetrical abs. Shawn Ray, same thing. I think that centerpiece just really completes the physique and always stood out to me. I love their physiques because I like the abs. As dumb as that sounds, abs or calves or something small like that, the abs to me is very important. However, I'm going to overlook all of that, and I'm going to tell you that Phil Heath, that guy is one of easily the best physique ever. The only physique possibly that can maybe beat him, and I believe it does, is Ronnie. Ronnie Coleman was just as dug out, just as carved out, and bigger, wider clavicles, similar midsection actually. So Ronnie would be the only human, in my opinion, that could beat a best Phil Heath. That's it. Not Kevin, Shawn, and Flex. And I love those guys. They are amazing. And like I said, I still like the way they look, just because like the ab wall. But Phil Heath, after analyzing everything, that texture of skin is unheard of. That consistency of getting dug out with sucked out body fat where it's non-existent. The water's gone. The texture of the skin is just not matched.